Hi, Corey. Sorry, are you talking, Corey? I can't hear you. Or can you say hi? Try again. Oh, yep, there you are.
Hello. There.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Evening, Councillor Stewart. Good you're here.
Thank you. I'm calling in from Savannah, Georgia.
Well, I'm calling in from the Arctic because it's really cold here. There you go.
I'm waiting until the kind weather, so I'm going to stay down a couple more days.
So you know that there's 104% tariff on you coming back across the border. You might not be able to afford to come home.
That's true. That's very true. Actually, Trump just announced the tariffs are on hold again. The market went up something like 8% today. Unbelievable.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order at 5 p.m. on April 9th, 2025 in the Council chambers at the Municipal Administration Center. Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. As representatives of the municipality, we have been entrusted to act as stewards for the community in which we live and work. We recognize the importance of learning the full history of this land, our place within its long story, and our responsibilities as treaty people. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nations and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous people have made and continue to make, both in caring for this land and strengthening our communities and respective nations. As a public service organization, we are committed to actions that move us towards a journey of truth, healing, and reconciliation with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the Métis Nation of Ontario, and the historic Saugeen Métis.
Roll call this evening. Deputy Mayor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell.
Present.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Present.
Councillor Pranger.
Present.
Councillor Steinhoff-Gray.
Present.
Councillor Stewart.
Present.
And Councillor Williams.
Present.
Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda from council members this evening? I'd like to remind you to disclose any pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof now or as it arises in the meeting. And we need a mover and seconder for the adoption of minutes, that the minutes of the council meeting held March 26, 2025 be adopted as printed, moved by Councilors Blackwell and Williams. All in favor? And that's carried. This evening, we have a public meeting for Greg Ship and Lori Templeton, 9 Parkwood Road. This is a public meeting under the Planning Act. If anyone from the public is interested in this application or wishes to receive a notice, there is an email at the county where you can get more information on that. First, we'll receive a report from the planning staff, then council members will have an opportunity to ask technical questions. Then we'll hear from the public who are here in person, virtually, or who have submitted correspondence. Members of the public are advised that the right to appeal the decision on this application is limited to specified persons and public bodies as defined in the Planning Act, or the owner or applicant of the land subject to the amendment who have provided oral or written comments to council. And after we hear from the public, council will discuss and consider a recommendation on this application. So I now declare this public meeting open, and I'd call on planner Britt Greg Wallace to present the application. Ms. Greg Wallace, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, I present this application Z 2024-68 SHIP. And planning recommends that, subject to a review of submissions arising from the public meeting, that council approve this zoning bylaw and the necessary bylaw be forwarded to council for adoption. So this is an application that came out of a proposal to sever a residential parcel. The proposal is to sever a 1.99 hectare parcel into two, one parcel being 1.36 hectares and the second one being 0.63 hectares. The zoning bylaw is required in order to facilitate that severance and to bring the parcels into compliance with the zoning bylaw. So this zoning bylaw application that we're hearing this evening is to permit an accessory structure on the severed parcel without a main dwelling, and to apply a holding to an area that is in close proximity to a natural heritage area, which is, if you look in the report, the site plan shows it just in the rear of the existing dwelling and accessory structure. And that holding would have the effect of requiring an environmental impact study should development be proposed in the rear of those structures. It's not proposed to be forward of those structures. So in analyzing this, planning has found that the proposed amendment is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms with county and local official plans, meets the requirements of the zoning bylaw, and represents appropriate development for the use of land. We did receive comments from staff and agencies, which were outlined in the report. And as I mentioned, concerns about natural hazards, natural heritage is addressed by the holding that's proposed in this application. Cultural heritage will be addressed through a condition of the consent. Comments that were received from Hydro regarding an easement can be addressed through the consent process as a condition, as can comments received from the municipality regarding upgrades to the water service can also be addressed through a condition of the consent should that be required. We did not receive any public comments as of now, and the applicants are here with us this evening. So I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. Are there any technical questions from any council members regarding the presented report? Okay, seeing none. Does the applicant wish to make any comments at this point in time? Okay. Is there anyone else from the public here who would like to speak in support of this application? or anyone here from the public with questions or concerns or objections about the application? I know there isn't. It is just the process. You got to go through it. So, okay. So, having no submissions presented, I would declare the public meeting to be closed. And now we consider a recommendation on the application. So I need a mover and seconder. The council approve the zoning bylaw amendment Z 2024-068 SHIP, and the necessary bylaw be adopted by council. Moved by councillors Kavanaugh and Hinchberger. Is there any discussion regarding this application? Okay, all in favor of the application then? And that's carried. There we go. Congratulations. It's not like having a baby. It's different than that, but it's about the same. But you get it. It's a brand new birth, so to speak. It's a trap. Don't say that. Okay. All right. So that is approved, and thank you for being here tonight, and thank you, Britt, for your guidance tonight too. All right, we have delegations this evening. The first is from the Kincardine Airport Interest Group. Jim Mimnaugh and Bernard Schropp are here representing on behalf of the interest group regarding the future of the Kincardine Airport. Jim and Bernard, welcome.
Check. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mayor, we respectfully request that you grant us an additional 5 minutes to deliver our presentation.
Okay, so that takes a motion by council to do so. If you would like to entertain that motion, please indicate. Moved by Councillor Prenger and Steinhoff Gray that this delegation be permitted 10 minutes this evening. All in favor? And that's carried. However, I still do have my special sign that says you got 1 minute left. Okay.
Perfect.
Go.
Okay, so we thank you, folks. So good evening, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, our CEO, and members of council. We thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today on behalf of the Kincardine Airport Interest Group, known as KAIG. So my name is Jim Mimnaugh, and I have the privilege of serving as co-chair alongside Bernard Schropp, who joins me here today. We appreciate this time to offer your highlights of our submission that is included in your agenda package. We recognize that council is balancing many competing priorities and financial constraints. Budgets are tighter, expectations are higher, and every municipal asset is under the microscope, as it should be. We're also aware that many of the municipalities across Ontario, across Canada for that matter, are challenged with operating budgets and long-term capital commitments for their small but important municipal airports. It's a challenge faced by many municipalities, and it's precisely because of that environment that we founded KAIG to offer our community perspective, experience, research, analysis, and operational support. So we are residents, taxpayers, pilots, aviation enthusiasts, international travelers and commuters, hangar owners, local business owners, and general community members. We are now 30+ strong and growing. We represent the people who use this airport, care deeply about its future, and see the airport as a valuable community asset. KIG is not a lobbying group. We are not chasing more spending or expansion with the dream of build it and they will come. We are here to demonstrate to you that we are pragmatic, are professionally organized, and eager to collaborate in your review process for the airport. Bernard.
Thank you, Jim. Aircraft activity at the airport has grown over 50% in the last 3 years to over 3,700 landings and takeoffs. The existing runway length of 4,085 feet connects Kincardine with direct flights to origins and destinations as far as 750 nautical miles away from here. This includes cities where airplanes fly directly from here, like St. John, New Brunswick, Montreal, Quebec, Atlanta, and New York in the US. All of that off of the 4,085 feet that you have here. In 2024, there were actually 39 Orange medical flights reported using Kincardine's approaches. We believe even one flight represents a critical life-saving service to the community. We reached out to Orange and included their support in that package that you have before you. Corporate flights are also very common, serving local businesses like Bruce Power, Cameco, and others. The aircraft types that support this service vary, but are generally two-engined turboprops like you see in the picture, and also jet activity. Our presentation includes pictures of these type of aircrafts, and they're the actual aircraft used using the airport. One thing to note, all of the pictures in our presentation are pictures from Kincardine. They're not Photoshopped, they are not taken from the internet. They are from Kincardine Airport. The airport also supports agricultural aerial applications when the conditions on the farm fields are too wet. And finally, the airport is also a point of community interest. From discovery aviation flights to public school tours, community events, and the airport supports aviation literacy, public service, and grassroots tourism. The airport is now 56 years old and has been built by the municipality with significant investments, both federal, provincial, and private dollars. The actual secondary runway here was built in the 1990s. I was actually the engineer on that project and started my career in aviation through this project when it was built by Canadian Agra. With the recent investments made in the last 8 years through the support of the Armo Community Benefits Fund, you've extended the life of your primary runway and added automated weather reporting and an automated fuel system. It is a modern and self-serve airport. The Ontario Provincial Policy Statement, together with Bruce County and Kincardine official plans, all reinforce that airports should be protected, enhanced, and recognized as critical to emergency preparedness and regional growth. Kincardine's own official plan states, the Kincardine Airport is important to future growth and accessibility, and the area shall be protected, and the airport shall be protected. On behalf of all the airport users, we thank you and past councils for making these investments to protect this investment. Kincardine Airport is an important community asset, but we also agree running an airport costs money. This isn't much different to the costs of maintaining roads, parks, community centers, and arenas. We can't judge those assets solely on direct revenue. They should be assessed on the value they return to the community as a whole. The airport is no different. That said, KIAIG supports many of the cost-saving ideas already presented by your staff. We support the part-time staffing model as a reasonable, efficient solution. The report Corey and Adam prepared was thorough, and seeking the advice from another aviation professional was a good idea because there's federal regulations that overlay on an airport, and it's really important to understand what those mean in terms of your liability. We also do not believe a runway extension is needed at this time. 4,085 feet gets you destinations and origins up to 750 miles with the aircraft types that you see in the PowerPoint. You have 25 years left on that investment now with what was done in 2017. The smaller crosswind runway, yes, it is going to require some rehabilitation in the next 5 to 6 years. Corey and Adam's report have made appropriate recommendations for crack sealing to maintain that until that time.
Okay, so we would like to leave you with a few key highlights to consider from our submission and this presentation. KAIG is ready to support and promote cost reductions, help identify and prioritize only essential capital projects, assist with independent research and data analysis to inform staff and council's decision-making, support municipal staff through volunteerism, advocate for the airport in the community, advocate on your behalf or in support of the municipality for funding programs. So in conclusion, Mr. Mayor, CEO, councillors, we note that the decision before you the decisions before you are complex. KAIG stands not as a voice of opposition, but as a partner. Together, we can ensure that the Kincardine Airport remains fiscally responsible, operationally sound, community serving for years to come. We are not asking you to carry the load alone. We are offering to help shoulder it with insight, experience, and energy. So thank you for your time and for your service to our community. We welcome your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schropp and Mimna. Per our procedural bylaw, we can ask questions to clarify any information, but ultimately it's a referral to staff or a thank you for coming this evening that council will afford. So are there any questions council members have for clarification regarding the information you heard this evening? Councillor Steinhoff-Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Sorry, I'm going to look at my notes here for a minute, but one of the things that you had mentioned, which in the presentation, which had me looking at some different information, was some of the funding that's available that we may or may not have applied to. So this starts as a question as you, but might end up with a question for our staff. I found the Canada's Airport Capital Assistance Program. I understand that it has grant applications open till June 5th of this year. It really primarily exists to try to maintain smaller airports on a year-round basis. If you have too many flights, you don't qualify. So it's looking for those smaller airports, but as a minimum, you need to be able to process 1,000 passengers annually. I'm just not sure if we meet that benchmark. I don't know if you have any data to help me understand.
I can address that. And just for clarity, my profession is airport engineering and planning, so we deal with this a lot. The ACAP program is not a funding program that would apply here. It's only geared towards those airports that have scheduled air service. So it wouldn't apply in this case, and that is one of the challenges that municipal airports have, is there aren't very many dedicated funding programs for upkeep of municipal airports. However, there is an association in Ontario, Airport Management Conference of Ontario, AMCO, and they are lobbying the provincial government to start an Ontario-based ACAP program that is geared specifically towards municipal airports. And they are actually seeking letters of support from communities like yourselves to advocate on your behalf to seek funding program, a new funding program to deal with airports like Kincardine.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thank you for coming tonight. I mentioned to a member of your group, well, indirectly offline, that the quality of the presentation was excellent. So was the verbal tonight, the oral, very well done. I think somewhere in the presentation it mentions that it's an unrealistic expectation for a municipal airport of this size to break even or to turn a profit. Would you have a good idea about what would be a reasonable target if we consider right now we're operating at a typical $250,000 a year operating deficit? What would you say in your best estimate would be achievable?
I would love to say cost neutral. However, when you, and we've started a database of a lot of municipal airports in Southern Ontario. And what you tend to see is it hovers in the $100,000, $50,000 to $100,000 range, where you see a convergence. There are some airports that you see. I think Hanover reported a neutral, but there was an unknown input, a revenue source there that we couldn't figure out. But I think realistically in the $50,000 to $100,000 range, and I guess what I could comment on is the fact that with the new staffing model that's proposed here, and if that transitions in the airport is continued to be managed in a safe manner, you're trending towards 100,000 with that change. And we believe that through additional fuel revenue here drives 65% of your revenues next to your land and agricultural leases, but the revenue on the fuel side is a key driver. And you have a good fuel system here, but we need to make sure it's functional all the time, and that through fly-in events, you can drive that revenue quite quickly, and you can generate another 10, 20, 30,000 through fuel sales alone. So I think from a professional opinion, it's in that $50,000 to $100,000 range, where if you don't do anything else, if you just kind of status quo, but I think we believe there's still opportunity here to drive other revenue through the fuel, through hangar lease revenue, and potentially through you've heard this before, a flight school. But that could be fairly uncertain, but fuel and the hangars, we know there's demand. There's been recent queries that we understand are looking at hangars now again. Those hangars fill up with planes. Each plane will drive another $3,000 or $4,000 a year in fuel sales. So you can focus on where your key drivers are with respect to the revenue, which is fuel and your hangar leases. That would be the first area. So I'd like to maybe just stop there. I could keep going, but I don't want to take up any more time.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor. Bernard and Jim, great presentation. Like my fellow councillor said, it's nice to see a group stepping up and seeing how we can work together with the staff. Looking forward to continuing on our discussions. It was one of our priorities this year to take a look at the airport. So thank you very much. Looking forward to a favorable result, hopefully. Thank you.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you. Through you. Similar to Councillor Stewart, I just wanted to applaud your efforts as well to be able to come together to kind of lead and guide and advocate for such an important community asset. I mean, it really is organizations like yours that are the backbone of our community. And so I applaud you for coming together and coming here today. I guess my question is similar to Councillor Hinchberger's, and you may have answered it. You talked about like databases of municipal airports that you've kind of looked at with ones of similar size. And have you seen successful, sustainable operating models that exist where we might be able to draw on those experiences?
I'm not here tonight yet with all that information. I think the important message we wanted to provide you tonight is that this entire group is contributing to that research, and what we want to be able to do is present to staff those findings and help identify those things. So we don't have that fully analyzed, but our library is growing, and we've offered access to our library to Corey and Adam too if they need to do any further research. So we're happy to share with that because we're all in this together. And I can tell you that airports like Goderich, Tilsonburg, Tobermory, Wyerton, all these smaller municipal airports like you have done a lot of research themselves, and they've published it. There's a lot of the stuff's online, and we're going to leverage that because there's a lot of similarities here. So we want to share that, but we're just not ready with having that answer yet.
Okay, it's my understanding from our CAO that council should be expecting a first preliminary report from our director and manager the end of May. That was the initial suggestion, that we would begin to see some of the results of the collaborative work. And unless council has a different recommendation, direction to staff, we would look forward to that report for an initial sort of the beginning analysis of the new path that the new runway we're on, so to speak. Is that appropriate for council, that time frame? Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you. Through you. I just wanted to clarify. So the direction right now is that staff is working with the group to come back with options to council. Is that?
Director, do you want to speak to that, broadly speaking?
Through you, Mayor Craig, I believe at the previous meeting when staff presented their report, there were some follow-up actions that were requested from council. One of them in particular around the status of Orange and the flight activity of them. So that, along with hearing tonight's delegation, we were going to prepare a follow-up report and come back to council at some point in the near future. Specifically to Councillor Williams' query, we didn't have any direct guidance in terms of what we needed to do beyond looking at that with Orange.
So broadly speaking, there would be a new, we've already passed our municipal budget, but there will be a possibly a new proposed working budget going forward from that.
So through you, Mayor Craig, I think that's probably an accurate consideration. So the budget that was structured included an ASP contract within it. Currently, we're operating without, so we would be, in a sense, operating in a manner underneath what that budget was approved at. So through our collaboration with the CAG group, we'll come back with how we can manage within that funding model.
Okay. Jim, Bernard, Extended Aviation Group, thank you so much for being here this evening to push forward this conversation. It is appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And under 10 minutes too. Well done. Okay, so I'd like to invite Amanda Saxton from our Kincardine Environmental Action Network to make her presentation regarding curbside organic collection.
Okay, thanks for having me out tonight.
Hubby, we just pause for like 1 minute
wait a second.
to afford opportunity for folks to exit the gallery. There go the lemmings.
It's okay, we're doing the same. Thanks.
We got this very.
Very 100%. Okay, now that I've scared everyone away.
Okay. Here we go. Good evening, Ms. Saxton. Welcome to council.
Thank you. Kim was here previously and kind of introduced our group a little bit. So you're somewhat familiar with us. So we're just trying to promote sustainability in Kincardine and try to make some synergy with local organizations and kind of all be on the same page working together to green Kincardine. So the reason I'm here tonight is organic collection is something that Kincardine does not currently have. And it is a big deal that a lot of us aren't able to compost. So though we're a rural community, you would think that most households can compost, but in reality, a lot of them aren't. So I'm here tonight to request that the municipality of Kincardine implement weekly organic collection or get on the road to figuring out if that can work or what that might look like. By instituting organic waste collection across all of Kincardine and Tiverton, our whole municipality, we can enhance our community's environmental stewardship, reduce landfill pressures, which are a real problem, and pave the way for a greener, more sustainable future. The reduction in landfill-bound organic waste will not only minimize greenhouse gases, but it will also support our community's commitment to environmental sustainability. It'll really send a message that we are wanting this in our community. So just some statistics for you. In Canada, food waste constitutes at least 35% of a typical household's trash. I would argue that might even be a little bit higher. When accumulated in landfills, organic waste emits large quantities of methane, and that's a big problem for greenhouse gases. In 2021, 65% of Canadian households composted their kitchen waste. Of those who were composting, 79% of them were using curbside composting. So Kincardine doesn't have that. So a large portion of the people who might be composting are not because it's not available to them. 27% used backyard composting. So that's not a lot. And some of those people are double counted because they're using both curbside and backyard composting. So Kincardine did a wonderful thing. We were part of the Food Cycler pilot project, and it proved that there's really a palpable public interest in improving organic waste management practices in Kincardine. The Food Cycler program, I've been communicating a little bit with Mr. O'Leary, and he mentioned that there was more demand than could be filled. So there were more people on the list that were not able to get a food cycler that wanted one. So that's kind of an important piece to think about as well. So the demand is there for people to want to be composting. Before participating in the Food Cycler program, 55% of the households were not previously composting, and that percentage goes up in the winter. So an additional 27% of people were not using their backyard composters in the winter. So that's a huge percentage. And 99% of those participants will continue to use their food cycler. So there wasn't anyone that went, oh, this is horrible, I don't want to compost. They were all on board and want to continue doing it. 90% of the participants felt that their friends and neighbors would benefit from a food cycler and that they would compost if given the opportunity. 72% of participants reported an increased awareness of food waste, and it motivated them to waste less food. They're noticing what they're getting rid of. And the barriers to composting that were reported in the survey that was done were space constraints. We have lots of, small lots, apartments, etc. Pest concerns, odor concerns, lack of knowledge or willingness to invest in the technology and in what might be needed to compost, and 25% were too busy. So though the food cycler program was a resounding success, data has not been collected on the longevity of the program, whether or not these units are still being used. I assume that they are because people were very excited about it. But I have heard from a few people that their unit broke or their bucket is damaged. So we don't have those statistics, and there's no more funding for the food cycler program, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a problem. So if we can extrapolate from the food cycler data, based on Kincardine having approximately 6,142 households, that means that annually we could be diverting 1,781 metric tons of organic waste annually. If we just extrapolate from the food cycler data, that's approximately 26 garbage bags per household per year, just in organic waste. That means we're also could divert 2,395 metric tons of CO2, and that's the equivalent of removing 533 vehicles, gas-powered vehicles, from the road annually. So you can see that the impact could be astronomical just in our small community. So the food cycler pilot program was successful in proving that residents of Kincardine are looking for an opportunity to divert their organic waste from landfill. And as we strive to meet Canada's climate goals and secure a sustainable future for our community, I really urge the council to prioritize and expedite the implementation of organic material collection in Kincardine. I'm really hoping that we can kind of seize this opportunity with Kim's going to talk about the blue box transition, but with that happening, maybe there are some savings that could be diverted to organic collection. I know there's been talk in the past of, we have our garbage collection every week. That's kind of backwards, that we're sending out garbage every week, recycling every other week. If we were able to implement organic collection, you could potentially move to a 2-week cycle for garbage collection because you don't have that waste stream that that's getting smelly and whatever. That's going out every week, and then your garbage collection could be every other week. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council members clarifying any issues? Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Thanks, Amanda. That was a really good presentation. I'm just wondering if you have had the opportunity to liaise with other communities that are doing organic collections and sort of how they have, I suppose, how it looks in those other communities, if you've had that opportunity.
I haven't actually. I know Goderich has just implemented it, and they've got like the truck that empties the bins right into the truck. But Goderich obviously is a very different footprint than Kincardine is. So I haven't found a community that kind of mirrors Kincardines yet to liaise with. But in my a number of years ago when the environmental committee was running, there was talk of Erin Eldersley being a community that was getting compost up and running. And at that time, they were willing to actually process Kincardine's compost. We just had to get it to them. So I think that staff has done some connections with other communities, but I think it just has kind of sat stagnant since the committee kind of shut down.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you. When I was on a leave of absence for a while, and there was a motion I had thought about bringing forward to support this, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. My understanding is the motion has come forward to the county level, and that the county's waste management subcommittee is specifically looking at source separated organics and coordinating it with lower tiers.
Yes.
Okay, so perhaps my question to staff then would be are we engaged in that process with the Waste Management Subcommittee? Are we a part of it? And or how could we be a part of that conversation moving forward?
So through you, Mayor Craig. So we do have representation from staff. Myself and the manager of environmental services sit on the environmental waste subcommittee. That committee it existed a number of years ago, and then through COVID, essentially became defunct. It was recently just reignited, and so through that group, one of the topics that we did have on our first agenda was to talk about the opportunity that we're discussing here this evening, and there will be further discussion around that table, not only with that, but as well with the Blue Box transition.
Just to clarify, it is very, very early in the conversation at this point.
Through you, Mayor Craig, that's correct.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Hello, Amanda. It's good to see you again. I was a participant in the Food Cycler, and that program's very successful. And I have the big, huge machine, and it still works well. I really do think it's probably a winning combination for us. When we took a look at this whole thing about curb service and the organic, we really had a problem last term because we weren't big enough. We didn't have critical enough mass. So you're absolutely right. Unless the county wants to take it on, it's very difficult for small municipalities to do curb service. But I'd love to have a program again about the food cyclers because it was so successful. And I think we didn't have enough for the demand. So I think that might be a good answer, especially in the rural areas. Thank you.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you through you. Thanks for the presentation. It was really great. And I know even personally, like waste diversion and the amount of kind of organic waste that we collect, I mean, it'll reduce your garbage so significantly. My question is around, you know, with waste diversion and mindful of our landfill constraints and how this will help with that. I'm not sure who this question's for. Where does your organic waste go? Like, does it go to the landfill or does it go somewhere else? Or
Councillor Director, please.
Thanks, and through you, Mayor Craig. So high level speaking, the organic waste would be collected and then it's deposited in a isolated location. Then it's essentially managed through a process that would return that organic waste to a topsoil product. So it is fairly rigorous. There are approvals that are required. You'll need a fairly large area to be able to deposit that material. And then through that, you have to turn it over, monitor temperatures and et cetera. And then when you do get to a point when you're able to utilize it as topsoil at the end, you're required through the ministry to track where all of that material is then taken as well. So that's just a quick overview of what that process would entail.
Councillor Steinhoff-Gray, please.
Thank you to you, Chair. Yeah, thank you so much for this presentation. It was great. I do have a question though, and I'm sorry I forgot my glasses, so I'm struggling here. But I did see that a lot of townships seem to be implementing these programs. Like a quick search, the township of North Kawartha, so the city of Kawartha Lakes, municipality of Muskoka, municipality of North Greenville. They all seem to have been fairly recent programs that have been launched. One as soon as one's coming in April 2025. Do we know how much it costs to establish a program like this? Because it would be nice to understand when you think about the cost of a new cell for the dump, right? If you're diverting, then your cells should last longer, I'm assuming. So it's be curious. I personally bought one outside of the program, a food cycler, just on my own, and I'm actually amazed at how much stuff you can put into it and how much it compresses as it does what it does. It's magical.
Through you, Mayor. So there were, the provincial government did establish that municipalities over a certain size were required to implement a green program. Certainly is not required at our level. I don't know the exact number, but I would say it's over 100,000 at a minimum. So when you're speaking of Kawartha Lakes, that is a single tier. So the city of Kawartha Lakes is one whole municipality. So if it's being implemented in a component of it, it's part of a larger single tier municipality. So it tends to work that if you are aiming to implement a program, you're going to do this comprehensively with how you're doing all of your collection. You would issue an RFP. So you don't necessarily aim to run these facilities yourself as a municipality. That can be an option in a region if there is a need, but typically you're still looking to the private sector to deliver the curbside collection. Likely.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you through you, Mayor. Actually, it's a question for the Director of Infrastructure and Development. I wasn't aware of this subcommittee that exists at the county level. Is part of the consideration to look at, it's been 5 years since I've been retired, but I'm pretty sure the site has an organic waste collection process and has for many years about, I mean, they're about roughly a town of 4,000 people in our municipality, and they have some sort of process in how they do this. And maybe there's some things we could learn from what their experience is.
Councillor Pranger, please.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks, Amanda, for your presentation. It was great. I'm really happy to see community support for this program. I personally believe in composting, do it at home myself. I've always been sad that we haven't been able to, I mean, it hasn't been in our community, obviously economically a viable program. So, but I'm glad to see us revisiting it. This is wonderful. My question is more specific to your actual presentation, which was great, by the way. On one of your slides, I guess I'll just start with my personal interest in composting is diverting waste from the landfill. I think that's super important. Our landfills are filling up. No matter how good of a job our staff do, it's filling up quicker than we want it to. I support it just on that principle alone. But then there's also, according to your presentation, other environmental impacts or benefits. Yeah. And one of them you talked about was that organic waste that actually gets into the landfill emits large quantities of methane. And then there's also like a CO2 number that you had on another slide. I'm just wondering if your source at the bottom of the slide applied to that, or if there was a different source, and how composting organics outside of garbage changes the methane release.
That's a really good question. I'm not actually sure. I need like my Google on me.
Yeah, probably get it.
Yeah.
I know that was my question as well.
Excuse me, perhaps just for time, could you get that information and circulate it through council? Just would that suffice to kind of give you a broad guideline of your to respond to the question?
Yep.
Just so that we so once again, thank you for the presentation. I believe that you have made this presentation at a very appropriate time. It's not likely the answer that you would be excited about, but in another couple or 3 months, staff is going to be starting on budget for next year. This would likely entail some costs that we do not have built into our 2025 budget.
Yep.
But with council's concurrence or perhaps some direction at a subsequent meeting, we could inquire if staff, or we can direct or ask staff to anticipate some costs to see what the economics would be in a center the size of ours. Like that's at this point right here and now, that is like I would suggest some logical timelines, because it's not something that we figure out easy. We're going through a transition with garbage collection and recycling, and there's a number of other issues that actually support investigation of this organic collection at this point, but not pick up this year, but how might it be implemented in next year or subsequent years. So if that's all right with council, that would be a request I make of someone, perhaps Councillor Blackwell, that not now. At a subsequent meeting, we in reference to Ms. Saxton's presentation, it's we direct staff to include the consideration in the 2026 budget and just see how it figures out. Sorry, Director, I didn't mean to do that to you right out loud, so. Amanda, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next in our delegations is Kim Armitage, who will be presenting on behalf of the Environmental Action Network again regarding municipality conducting waste audits. Ms. Armitage, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, this should dovetail nicely with Amanda's presentation. Happy to be a member of the KEEN with the three of us, the original founding members. Amanda Saxton's our president, and I think everybody knows Andrew Evans as well, who's been an amazing support for us. So we'll talk about what we're looking for from landfills. There we go. I got it. I think I got it. Okay. So the purpose of the delegation is to request that the municipality conduct waste audits in the Kincardine landfill, and that's to better understand the composition of the garbage that makes it to the landfill. The data is to guide circular economy initiatives. So some of the things you'd want to piece out of the landfill are how much organic is actually in there. All the statistics that we've presented so far are from general statistics from the province or from estimating based on waste cycler information. Also looking at how much plastics makes it into the landfill, both soft, rigid, and plastic film. Things like paper products, metal, glass, other reusable or recyclable material, and any hazardous waste that manages to get into the landfill. A little bit about plastics. Plastics are, of course, an amazing, versatile, cheap product. And there's a lot of statistics out there, but I think it's clear to everyone that we are losing the battle. We're producing more plastics than we're able to manage. The recycling in Ontario, at least, is kind of stalled at 25%, and we're increasing. You know, we've gotten rid of our grocery bags, but then all of a sudden our cucumbers and mushrooms and everything else is in plastic. The amount of plastics is going up and up and up, and the percent recycled is not. So that tells you that we're losing the battle, and plastics is a good example of that. In Kincardine, and so you kind of want to know, well, how are we doing in Kincardine? All the statistics from the world down to the municipality, they all seem to be quite bad, but how exactly is Kincardine doing? I know that we have a trash taxi that deals with our plastic film, and we've done an amazing job. Roughly 4,300 kilograms of plastic film is diverted annually, according to our estimates of the information that we were able to obtain. But I guess our follow-up question to that is, well, how much was missed and how much is in the landfill? And we don't really have that information. Similarly to other things, other plastic, water bottles, etc., we don't have that information of what's actually in the landfill. So this becomes even more pertinent when we think about the transition from for the Blue Box material starting in January. Several organizations won't have pickup, and it's going to be quite convenient, or it's going to be difficult for them to get that material into its proper recycling spot, so it may end up in the trash. So it is important right now to understand what we have now, and then to audit again and find out how we're doing with the transition. Make sure nothing's going wrong for our personal municipality. Circular economy, this could be a whole hour-long presentation, but I think people understand that a linear economy is you take the tree from the forest, you make a paper cup with it, you drink your coffee out of it, and then you throw it in the garbage. Recycling, you take the material, you make something out of it, you use it, you try to recycle it, but in the end it ends up in the waste. With a circular economy, everything is food for something else, and it goes around and around. So that includes things like reusing, repairing, returning, recycling, etc. And in a perfect world, there would be zero waste from that. So why do we want to waste audit? Well, when we do initiatives, it's a lot of work we've discovered so far. The Tetra Pak initiative we have, I mean, we're out there stomping and squishing and you know, collecting, sorting, rinsing. It's a lot of work, and we want to know that we're making an impact. So one way to do that is to understand, is it really a problem first? Do we have a big landfill issue with that before we make the initiative? And then finally, how successful are we being? Not just in how much we divert, because if the amount, again, if the amounts increase, we really haven't done a good job yet. To get the true idea of how well we've done, we really need those audits pre and post. It also engages people. If you can tell the people of Kincardine that we have made an honest difference in what we've diverted from the landfill and what we've actually recovered and recycled and improved the goals towards circular economy, it makes a big difference to keep them motivated. Well, there's a photograph from Sandy Nielsen, one of our local photographers. And just, it makes me think about how much we have to protect here in Kincardine. And I know recycling is being offloaded to the producers, but you got to ask yourself how they've been doing so far. They have been 50% responsible for recycling already. And I think that we, as the community, we really want to keep our eyes on how they're doing. So, and we have a lot of zero waste energies here. People actually willing to do the work. So it really helps to have some data to direct that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. Are there any questions for clarifying any issues from Armitage this evening? Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, through you. Thank you for your presentation. This is a weird thing to say, but I'm a big fan of audits, especially baseline ones. It's great to kind of at least have a starting point so you know where to go. Is this something that you outsource, and do we like, are there organizations out there that do this, and typically how much does it cost for something like this?
Absolutely. It's actually required for some, like for large organizations. And actually, I noticed that the report that we get from our landfill is from a company called, I can't remember the exact name, but they also offer waste audits, the same company we use for other reporting for our landfill. And I noticed Circular Materials Ontario, who is the pro that we're going to be using, also offers training on waste audits. So yeah, it is a thing, and it is available out there. In terms of the exact cost, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Councillor Stanoff-Gray, please.
Thank you. That was actually where I was going. Thank you, Stelina. I would ask though, Adam, our director, have we ever done a waste audit before? I'm just curious.
So through you, Mayor Craig, annually we are required to provide or prepare and submit reports to the ministry. Through that, we would collect and obtain information both gathered on site and through our collector, Basra, to put statistics together in terms of what we've either diverted or landfilled throughout the year. But in terms of any auditing of that, there's never been a peer review, but that's generally that third-party report's been done by our municipal engineer.
I'm curious, is that report something that would be publicly available that we have up? Because that might be some of the data that this group's looking for.
So through you, Mayor Craig, I believe that data was provided, and I'm not sure if it would have the level of detail they'd be looking for. And to be quite honest, I mean, that level of detail is near impossible to really collect. If you think about loads that are unsorted that come into your waste management facility, you'd be picking apart every single item in that load to figure out which category or which bucket it should be accounted to. So that's where the challenge comes in with us. And that was one of the reasons why the manager of environmental services during the fee bylaw update suggested, and it was supported by council, to significantly increase the cost for landfilling an unsorted load. And that's to try and promote people to actually segregate their loads that come in, so that way we can properly account for things and realistically landfill less material at the end.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, last term we actually tried something and some people thought it was a tax increase, but really what we wanted to do was divert some of the landfill inorganic stuff and everything else into more recycling. So we decided to charge an extra $1 on the tags, the garbage tags. It went over well, and we did see an increase for a while and try to convert or get rid of it, because the cells are about $1 million now, I think. And, you know, we're supposed to get about 10 years per these cells, and we're seem to only be getting 7 or 8. So, you know, some other municipalities, I'm not saying this is going to be us, now charge $5 to $10 for a garbage tag, just trying to convert that stuff so more and more people will go through their garbage and force them to do more recycling. Not saying it's very popular with the taxpayers, but it might be the only solution. Thank you.
Okay. Kim, thank you for being here this evening. Appreciate the report. Moving on in our agenda, we have staff reports here. 2025 fleet tender, supply and delivery of 3 pickup trucks. We need a mover and seconder the council award contract ops RFT 2025-02 to Finch Auto Group for their tendered amount of $161,016.88, including HST rebate. Moved by Councillors Kavanagh and Deputy Mayor Clark. Discussion. Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Is there some possibility right now that some effective tariffs was already priced into the bids we got?
Through you, Mayor Craig. I do know Corey's on the line, but I'll jump in here. So what we did with our tenders for these specific trucks, we did request that they came direct from the lots, that they weren't purchase and build units that could be affected by tariffs. We're fairly confident with these units that they're going to be not impacted. They're already sitting here in Ontario.
Thank you.
Oh, Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, part of the report talks about a very, very bad accident that we actually lost one of our trucks. Thank God we didn't lose an employee. I don't remember ever getting a report on that, because this would have been costly, or over $50,000. Was there ever a report submitted to council on this incident?
Through you, Mayor. So this would form the normal process of reporting to our insurer in order to be able to recoup the costs to fund the purchase.
So there wouldn't be expected to be a report to council regarding this. It's just part of normal operations.
Excuse me, can I just have I think in the future, when an employee has this sort of kind of incident that it's going to cost the insurance or whatever over $50,000, I think there should be some mention to the council. I mean, we are responsible for everybody, including the employees. I'd like to know a little more information around this, because in January, it was the time not to really be out in the roads. I'd just like to know what our safety concerns were. And I think it's be important that these kind of reports get brought up to council, at least to our mayor, please.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Let's try this a different way. Is there an existing policy related to reporting and stuff like this that council may choose or choose not to amend?
Is there a reporting policy regarding normal operations?
So through your Mayor Craig, I'm not aware that there necessarily is. It's certainly information that we can make available if that's the direction of council. I'd be happy to speak to it here further tonight too, if council wants to understand a little more of the detail around it.
Well, there's two different issues. One is the tender for the trucks. The other one is the reporting communication regarding operations of the municipality. So I'm going to suggest that not that the reporting is less important, but the question that we're dealing with is about supply and delivery of 3 pickup trucks. If there is a request for direction for staff in a different regard, then we can deal with that. But we're going to stick on the tendering for the trucks at this point. Any further question regarding the tender supply and delivery of trucks? All in favor? And that was carried.
Hot mix paving.
Hot mix paving?
Yeah.
Okay. Hot mix paving tender. We need a mover and seconder. The council award project 9125 2025 hot mix paving contract to Walker Construction for their tender price $1,069,112.59, including non-refundable portion of HST. Moved by councillors Williams and Hinchberger. Any discussion? Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you. My question is just related to the total project budget and the amount for this. Is this kind of in line with what was expected for this portion of the total budget?
Through you, Mayor Craig. Again, sorry, Corey. I was waiting to see if you were jumping on, but yes, it is. So generally speaking, when we do these rural resurfacing programs, probably in the range of what we're seeing is around 2/3, and that's generally for the paving portion when we're looking at 6 to 8 kilometers. The balance will be your clearing and grubbing, granular placement, and then culvert replacements as well.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, for my fellow councillor Steinhoff, Gray, and myself. I think this question will be to the manager operations, Corey. Great news that we're going to redo Victoria Cayley Street and Inverhuron. What timing are you considering? Because that's a major route down to the beach where a lot of people go. So do we have a timing?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. We are just going through our capital project schedule right now. We are mindful of that. We know that it's extremely busy at the summertime. I think originally the plan would be to get in there and pulverize early and get some granular down there that is still able for pedestrians to get down to the waterway there. And then once we get the remainder of concession 9 complete and ready to pave, we will do it all at the same time. Generally, we're looking at somewhere in July is when we get the paving complete. So we'll be in early, be out of the way for the busy time, and then we will have a day in there that we will be paving. That will be a bit of a challenge, but we'll have some traffic control and we can get them around the block the other way.
Thank you, Corey. It saves me a lot of phone calls.
Further questions? All in favor? That's carried. Structure 2121 replacement tender. Need a mover and seconder. The council award the tender for project 9110 2121 structure replacement to Rubos Farm Service Limited, who submitted the lowest qualifying bid of $2,910,404.28, including payable portion of HST. Moved by councillors Kavanagh and Blackwell. Discussion? Councillor Kavanagh, please.
Thank you very much. I reviewed this document extensively because this is the big bridge project, so to speak. And I want to give my compliments for staff for going out and getting multiple bids. And the bid coming in at 2.8 instead of the 4.2 is fantastic news.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, I guess the question, I think to probably the manager of operations, I'm just a little bit, is this going to be steel or is it going to be precast? I didn't quite read that in the tender. I know that you went out there for both. I didn't see the final thing. This company actually did our trail from Kincardine to Invercargill, did a great job. So I highly recommend them for the tender. But could you just explain, is it steel or precast we decide to go with?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. There was two options in the contract, so I understand the question there, but this company only bidded the precast girders. So that's what we'll be going with. And yeah, they were the contractor on the KIPP trail, did a great job, and they had great reviews from any of the contacts that they gave for us. So.
Well done in the tender.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you. My question was just around, again, like kind of in the last one, is the scope of the project. So this is the cost specifically for the bridge. I know that there was some significant reconstruction of the road approaches on either end. Is that something that's priced into this, or is it something that's going to be extra on top?
Through you, Mayor, good question, and that's to do the road work as well for the total price there.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, through you. And I apologize if this is in the report and I missed it. If this is approved today, what would the timing be of starting the work, and how long will the work take to be completed?
Through you, Mayor, we will know better once this is awarded and we get a construction schedule. Adam, you might have to help me out with this for a completion date that we had in the contract. But before the winter weather sets in, for sure.
So through you, Mayor Craig, Corey's accurate in that typically we wouldn't have a construction schedule until we know which the vendors we're working with. But as far as timeline, I don't have the date specifically, but I believe it was a date in November for completion. So realistically, we could see this structure out of commission for half a year here. But the precast option will be a little quicker than having to do some of the other work that may have taken in place with the steel girder option.
All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Environmental Services Compliance Report. And our manager is on the line if there's any questions regarding the compliance report. Councillor Steinhoff, Gray, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I have a couple questions, but I'll just ask them one at a time because I know Councillor Hinchberger also has questions. When we received the BEC bypass, I understand that there were 2 alarms before we came to deal with the frozen probe. I was just wondering if you could help me understand if we knew that the bypasses occurred or if we found out after, and whether it was an alarm that we did the reset on before going out and then it re-alarmed. I was just trying to understand that sequence of events.
Your sound's not working. You're unmuted, but I don't know if it has something to do with your headset. No. Could you try just your computer speaker, maybe?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, through you, Mayor Craig. So the initial alarm that came out of the BEC was actually for low effluent flow. So our staff were able to acknowledge that remotely and reset the alarm. I believe it ran then for about an hour and a half. And the thought process there was that we just had low flow. The second alarm, the staff then ended up heading to site and found that there had been ice and possibly a frost. It was cold in that moment, so that was cleared out. But during those 2 minute span, or during those spans where the reset took place, we did lose some effluent flow, which resulted in us calling in the bypass.
This is probably a follow-up. There's a few different ones as we go through the different compliance items that are in there. Do we have seasonal readiness that we do? Like before winter, before like spring, summer, like are there seasonal work that we do? Like there's some things where I'm just curious based on some of the situations we found ourselves in.
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Craig. So we do work at trying to establish like reoccurring maintenance, whether those are, we have some that are monthly tasks, we have some that are quarterly tasks. To be honest, the effluent station up there, probably between frost and ice, I hate to say this, but we also have the station covered as well, like the troughs. We cover the troughs all in, or that, because you can actually get a mist in there as well that can kind of, when you get, it can fool the transducer into a reading as well. So we do try to stay on top of those things. But this alarm triggered in February on us.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. On the subject of the water, I'd like to request, and I can put a motion forward if needed, that council direct staff to include the management review action plan as an attachment in the monthly report going forward, because there's roughly 14 actions in there. Some of them are sizable, significant. A couple stood out to me. One is about sort of having a contingency plan in the event that we have an interruption in water supply when we're engaged with Bruce Power, and another one relating to training. So just somebody needs to tell me whether it needs to be a formal request via resolution or whether we can have this added going forward.
I can jump in quickly if you want, Mayor Craig. So the management review, it's I guess what I would call a high-level document, in the sense that those are goals and objectives that we set out as a team, typically through our compliance and QMS meetings. So our QMS meetings, we meet as a management group, including the director, and we have recently also included our IT specialist with us as well, because some of our issues are related to, computers and SCADA and network security and things like that. So it is kind of a list of goals and objectives that we try to meet as a team, and we don't have any issue. We could share those either monthly with the compliance or quarterly with the I&D report, if that's something council desires.
Or I'm thinking there's a PDF file here within them. Every time you put out the monthly report, just include it in there so that council can keep some oversight of the progress on completing some of those actions. Seem to be the simplest path forward for me.
Okay. Councillor Pranger, did you have your hand up? Okay. Councillor Steinhoff-Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I did have another question that I want to kind of pull on. I know this is not a knock because you guys responded really quickly, but we had the leachate spill March 5th because you were obviously doing visual checks because of the heavy rainfall on that landfill cell. But what caught my attention is that it seemed like we had exceeded what the plant could handle. There was a line that it said that we paid Blue Water Sanitation to haul 270 cubic meters of liquid between February 24th to March 20th. And like, with some of the extreme weather we've seen, I don't necessarily think this is going away. Some of the challenges that you faced, I was just wondering if if we've met the design, like if we're exceeding the design with what we're seeing. Because it seemed odd to me that we would be paying to remove liquid, and then we had to go through a few steps to get ourselves back into phase. So I kind of wanted to ask, because you have included charts in the data with our annual precipitation, and it does seem like the precipitation is going up generally with the exclusion of 2021. So I had to ask the question, and I was curious how much that costs when we're in a situation where we're paying to have liquid removed.
Through you, Mayor Craig. So that is correct. Blue Water does haul for us all year. The reason that we haul out of that site is actually what we consider the waste, like waste sludge that comes out of the plant. So as you work through your treatment process and build up your sludge or whatever, you eventually waste that off to a tank out in front of the building itself. So we haul out of that tank even in June or July when it's hot and precipitation is down. It's just a process that we have to go through at this point. Some of that gets hauled directly back to the leachate or like to the landfill site in the heavier hot months, where we can just put it back in and you're actually in theory retreating it type of thing. But in the heavier precipitation and flow months, we do haul into our landfill or our lagoon sites. I believe it is somewhere in the range of about $300 a load.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just one question on wastewater for the Bruce Energy Center report. It said in there somewhere that there were 29 UV alarms in 2024 and 19 of them were flicker. My question is this a normal thing, or is this more an advanced sign of a more significant failure in our future without some corrective action being taken?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Craig. So the BEC site, any little power flicker or things of that nature, we do have a standby generator there, which then quickly comes to life and continues with the treatment process there. Many of the flickers actually they turn the unit off and then back on quickly. So we have no concerns with it at all. It's just a blip and it does shut it off for a safety factor, and then brings it right back online very quickly. Some of those would be included, even Councillor Hinchberger, in like a monthly run of the generator. When you turn, so like of those 19 alarms, 12 of them are likely our monthly maintenance of running that generator up there.
Okay. Record digitization policy. We need a mover and seconder that the record digitization policy and amended records management policy be approved as presented. We need a mover and seconder. Councillor Williams and Deputy Mayor Clark. Discussion. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Councillor Steinhoff-Gray. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. There was just one question I had because it didn't jump out at me necessarily when I read it, but it could be that I just missed it, and that's fine. Do we have some sort of plan in effect as we move towards some of our digitization for when file formats might become obsolete? So I know we're doing significant effort on going to digital. I didn't know if there was a review cycle that we should be implementing based on when technology goes rogue, because this may be a circular activity. We're converting to a format to convert to a format. So I wasn't sure. I thought I'd ask the question.
We're not using cassette tapes, are we? So, Laserfiche. Okay. Clerk, please.
Through you, Mayor. Yes, we are using what is the industry standard right now, which is PDFAs. And that is the industry standard. That's what everybody is using. In the future, if PDFAs start to not be the standard, we'll move to something else. But right now we are using what is the industry standard.
All in favor? And that's carried. Request to purchase first lane unopened road allowance. We need a mover and seconder that council declare the unopened road allowance called first lane to be surplus lands for the purpose of disposal as per report CAO General 2025-05. Moved by councillors Blackwell and Deputy Mayor, Councillor Stewart, okay. Questions? Councillor Steinhoff Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'm not sure necessarily who I would direct this to, so I'll just direct it to the CAO. I actually was, I found this one problematic for a couple of different reasons. First, we've already talked to legal and obviously been in discussions before this is coming before council for our review of this. And I guess my bigger problem with this is we've had other groups approach us about purchasing land allowances, and we have not always done that. And so for me, I'd like to see a fairly consistent approach in how we do this, especially when it comes to reallocating road allowances. And I understand in the report it indicated that it's not necessarily space that we need because we have different access points, but when I drove past, it looked like it could be a very feasible access point in the future if required as more houses build up and you don't want people parking in different areas just to provide different avenues. So I guess I'd like to understand when these types of things come to us for discussion as opposed to making a decision in the moment. Like I would have loved to have been part of the discussion.
Certainly through you, Mayor. Yeah, this is absolutely the time for the discussion, and the point of the process is to be able to review, to bring it to council to say whether or not it's feasible. It's up to council to decide whether or not they wish to declare it surplus and dispose of it or keep it. The point of ensuring that someone who seeks property from us, they are the ones that are responsible for paying the costs of the legal and administrative costs associated with that review if it's not something we've initiated ourselves. So before we processed anything, we confirmed that with the individual who made the request. So that is consistent with how we have applied those types of requests, and in fact have received another one not around the same time for a different parcel. They were not interested in paying for the cost, so we're not proceeding with the review. So this is absolutely the time. If council doesn't want to declare it surplus and wishes to keep it, that's up to council, and we'll notify the individual that that's the outcome.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, through you. Is there, was there discussion or could there be discussion about separating it into two parcels? Because right now, I mean, if one landowner that is, it's just because there's 4 different properties, and when you look at the map, it kind of would be more logical if it was separated so that one person who purchases it wouldn't be adjacent to half the, like part of the property. It just seems a bit weird. So would that be an option that would be considered?
Is one person buying all the land, or is it multiple people purchasing the property if we declare it surplus?
Through you to the councillor, the request is to purchase the entire property. The process allows this to go out to all of the adjacent property owners. The municipality isn't proposing to sever the property and then try to sell to other property owners. So that's, it would have to remain abutting to the property owner, and I'm not sure if you would get that if you did a severance in the way that's being described.
Okay.
Could be 2 or 4, or one or 2. Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. There is actually 2 unopened road allowances on that stretch between Bruce Avenue and Penetangor. This is the one that's closer towards Bruce Avenue. There's another one south. Looks like it has some stormwater function right now for us. I gotta admit, when I read this, I had a little Birchwood Avenue, a little post-trauma. My opinion on surplus lands is, and looking at what the municipality's done with properties, big and small, over the years, selling large pieces to places like, for instance, churches that only use a small portion of the land. And I think my personal is, I've decided that for me, I think we need to be really mindful of when we declare something surplus that's really large or small and provides access. So I'm on principle not going to be in favor of the recommendation.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you. So there was a mention that there's no infrastructure within this unopened road allowance. Is there, was there consideration given of other ways that we could be utilizing it, like planting or contributing to a tree canopy or naturalization or anything like that? Or is it strictly, we're looking at it from a use case of access to the beach or infrastructure?
Through you, no, the process in terms of the request is just to review in terms of whether or not we have a specific need associated with the department. So if there's infrastructure in the ground that we require access to, or it provides access to it in a different way, we would consider it from that point of view. If you're asking if we would aim to plant more trees there, currently I don't think that would be that's not in any plans that we have with any of the departments.
Okay, we have a motion that council declare the unopened road allowance called First Lane to be surplus lands for the purposes of disposal as per report CAO General 2025-05. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Any opposed? And that was defeated. Notice of motion prior to the meeting. We have one motion moved by Councillor Hinchberger, seconded by Councillor Williams. The council directs staff to execute a contract change order with the contractor engaged with the Bruce Avenue reconstruction project to lay a strip of asphalt alongside the recycle bins at the Bruce Ave recycling depot to facilitate the use of the location following rain events. And further, the council directs staff to coordinate with BASR on the particulars of such a strip, width, length, and placement. Councillor Hinchberger.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I spoke to the Director of Infrastructure and Development beforehand, and I wondered if he could give the council in its entirety a summary of the information that he provided to me within the last week.
Certainly, through you, Mayor Craig. So high level here, the area that we're looking at is approximately 80 meters long, anticipating that we'd pave a strip that would be around 4 meters wide. The granular that's there, not really certain without actually being able to go out and do some test pits or test the quality of it, what the integrity of it is. So we've made the assumption that we'd have to remove that. And with that, there are soil regulations that exist now. So if we're removing granulars, I've made an assumption that they're going to be salt impacted soils. So high level, you're looking at a cost of somewhere between $17,000 to $29,000, depending on if that granular base is compromised by salt. And we've gone in there with our estimate, making an assumption that we'd replace roughly 1/2 meter of granulars in depth. That's a standard depth that you would replace for a road substructure. With those heavy trucks that are going to be going in and over that, we want to make sure that the sub base is of good quality. Otherwise, the asphalt will break up quite easily. And then the asphalt, we've just assumed no different than what we put down out in our rural area, a 50 mil lift of hot mix. You can certainly break this apart. You can scale it back. You can just throw asphalt on top of what's there. But if you want it to build something right, that's what you're looking at in terms of numbers, 17 to 30,000 to do it. If you just throw asphalt on, you're probably in the $7,000 range. But again, you don't have any drainage addressed in there. And it is going to be challenging to maintain a gravel parking lot that has a strip of asphalt down a section of it.
Thank you for that. If you could also just add the part about the Bruce Ave project, as realizing $1 is $1 wherever, regardless of where it comes from. If this were to be handled within the Bruce Avenue project, how that would be done and what it would mean or not for the overall budget of Bruce Avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And through you, Mayor Craig. So contractually with the Bruce Ave contract, if council wanted to entertain addition of scope, given the proximity of that job, we would approach that contractor for a change order in addition to the contract. So they would provide us pricing, and if we accept that pricing, it would be added into the scope of their work. We're anticipating paving to happen here over the next few weeks for Bruce Ave. So time is essentially of the essence if a decision is going to be made. As far as the funds and where we sit, we did close that contract under budget from a budgetary to contract award consideration, and financially within that, we're within good shape in terms of our dollars that have been spent to date for the quantities and tendering amounts. So there is financial latitude within the approved fiscal budget.
Councillor Williams?
Thank you, through you.
You don't have to, but you
no, it's
seconded,
okay.
so.
Thanks. So one of the reasons that I supported this is I know that the future of cardboard on that site is kind of in question, but I feel like that's a valuable, well, one, being a user of it, I know having something there would be helpful. But I know that the future of that site is in question, but I also know that we use it for yard waste, we use it for waste diversion, and if we want to keep doing more waste diversion, I feel like that's a really valuable site, in that even if things change with the changes that are coming with recycling, that there's still an opportunity to continue to use that site. My fear would be, and I know this is about the gravel, but it's also about the sustainability of that site, is that if we don't do anything and we take it away, that we might not ever get something back like that. So I think that kind of, and well, the big driver too is that it is within the current, it could be within the current budget for Bruce Ave. So I thought it was a good opportunity to do a little bit more for that site to make it sustainable for us to continue to look at waste diversion activities.
Further comment, questions? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, I'm going to actually put the director, Adam, you're standing over there, sitting over there. This has never come up in a capital project. I know that when we did the landfill and we had some extra money in one of our budgets, we completely paved it, and that made one heck of a difference. And I think you and I would both agree. I know I'm going to put you on the spot because we're not experts at this. Would you recommend this project, Adam? Yes or no?
So through you, Mayor Craig, I would not suggest that we move ahead with it. I think there's better ways to spend municipal tax dollars than putting a strip down here. We certainly grade and maintain the area. If it is, inclement weather, I would suggest if people could just hold on to their cardboard and come out on a nice sunny day.
Thank you, Adam.
Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you, through the chair. I get the desire for this, given the current context. However, knowing that there's like a 95% chance that those bins will not be there come the end of the year, I don't know if this is the best approach when we don't know what it's going to look like and what that, strip should look like based on future use, etc. It might end up being a waste of money.
Councillor Kavanaugh, please.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, I appreciate my fellow councillors bringing this forward as a point of discussion. I saw the pictures online of the muddy spot and some of the cardboard, lying outside the bins instead of being in the bins. But like Councillor Prenger, I have very, very strong inclination that with the changes brought down by the provincial government, those bins won't be there come January. And if we're talking about ways we could spend $17,000 to $30,000 in the Bruce Ave area, I'd rather see that spent either improving access to, say, the dog park area or making the road better for crossing and safing. And so I don't think I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Just as an option, Director, would a load of gravel in there help to alleviate some of the muddy conditions?
So through you, Mayor Craig, we can certainly put some gravel. In the past, I believe staff have tried to put down crushed asphalt. The quality of that at the time, it was an arrangement through a contractor from another contract. It wasn't crushed adequately, so it caused some issues for us then. But yeah, we could put some material down that would be suitable, either a crushed asphalt material or a gravel, and that would help and assist the area.
Okay, we have a motion to direct staff to execute a contract change. All in favor of that motion? Anyone opposed? And that was defeated.
You voted no.
Yeah. Okay, is there any notice of motions at this meeting this evening? Okay, moving on, consideration of bylaws. We have the Victim Support Grant Agreement bylaw. We need a mover and seconder that the Victim Support Grant Agreement bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw number 2025-040, moved by councillors Deputy Mayor Clark and Kavanagh. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. The Shane Watson appointment bylaw, we need a mover and seconder that the Shane Watson Community Emergency Management Coordinator appointment bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw number 2025-41, moved by councillors Hinchberger and Prenger. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Then we have a motion to pass bylaws. We need a mover and seconder that the following bylaws are hereby read a first, second, and third time, finally passed. Amend the zoning bylaw, award the truck tender, award the hot mix tender, award the bridge structure tender, records and information management policy bylaw, and record digitization policy bylaw. Moved by councillors Hinchberger and Blackwell. Any discussion? All in favor? Those are carried. Moving on to the consent agenda. Once again, these are considered routine or enacted in one motion, except if a council member would like to withdraw one or more items to be discussed either this evening or a subsequent meeting. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, I'd like to pull the item 8B, which is the Saugeen Mobility Enhanced Service Agreement update. It is a different update in terms of the direction that the municipality may go, and I'd like to pull it for discussion at the next meeting if I can.
Okay. Further comment, Councillor Hinchberger, please. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. 8.1BA, the Infrastructure and Development Quarterly Report. A couple of questions. One related to supplying Bruce Power with water. The land clearing that's going on the northeast corner of this concession and the B line, that is in preparation for the booster pumping station to supply Bruce Power. That's question one.
So through you, Mayor Craig, that's accurate.
The second would be that in the development services part of the report, it talks about 16 pre-consultation meetings. Can you give probably Dwayne might be able to do this. I don't expect you'll know this off the top of your head, what the relative breakdown is in terms of percentage between residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional of those 16?
So through you, Mayor Craig, I can't on the spot here this evening, but if that's information council would like, we could certainly put that together.
Thank you. I can send you a note previously and then you can answer to all of council. And the one thing I was just sort of thinking about how to manage workload, because that we did not approve a planning position. And do we give a priority in development services as far as serving and meetings to those developments that are active? Or, you know what I'm saying? I look at 16 pre-consultation meetings and wonder to what degree are we essentially bogging down planning services by dealing frequently with people that are just around half-heartedly kicking the tires.
So through you, Mayor Craig, you know, generally speaking, it's a balancing act. I certainly understand, you know, the concern and where that comes from. I do think we are going to see some relief. I hate to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but the zoning bylaw is to be coming back before council here in the near term, and you know, hopefully coming to a conclusion. So that'll offer a significant amount of relief to our resources that support the planning function. So I think, you know, time being, the volume that we're seeing on the tire kicking side is manageable. We certainly are seeing a bit of a lull, I would say, like on the active, you know, maybe execution of agreements or even going to building stage right now, just with the market, tariffs, interest rates, and lending considerations. So,
thank you.
Okay, we need a mover and seconder that council approve the recommendations contained in the consent agenda dated April 9, 2025, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions and to bring back 8.1BB for a further report discussion at the next meeting. Okay. Moved by Councillors Hinchberger and Deputy Mayor, all in favor, and that's carried. Member of Council, general announcements. Councillor Blackwell, please. Get them over.
Thank you. As usual, I have 3, but I'll be quick. Try to keep it to 3. So the first one that I wanted to do was send a big congratulations out to the Kinetic Knights robotics team. So they recently won the Rising All-Star Award at the first Ontario Championships, which was held last week in Mississauga. And next week, they are off to the World Championships in Houston, Texas. So you know that they have a really, really dedicated group with some very dedicated mentors because they are taking a 30-hour bus ride. So all the best to them as they compete as one of 20 teams representing Ontario in Houston. I also wanted to thank the Canadian Federation of University Women Kincardine for hosting an all-candidates debate for the federal candidates this past week. There was excellent turnout, and I'm hoping everyone is paying close attention and preparing to vote at the end of the month. And lastly, I wanted to congratulate Miss Ryan and her grade 5 class at Huron Heights Public School. They won the Inclusive Education Month contest put on by Community Living Kincardine District, and they really knocked it out of the park. So they did some really, really wonderful things to talk about, you know, how to make their school more inclusive for those with various abilities. And I just wanted to recognize them and all their great work.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through your chair, just wanted to tell you the Tiverton Bunny selling programs almost completed. We're sold over 2,000 bunnies this year, but don't worry, we have some for the staff and everything, so I'll be in there next week. But the good news is we'll probably raise about 5,000 funds for the Lucas program, which is, Lucas is a young man in Tiverton that needs one of these specialty dogs. And these dogs cost about $50,000. So we'll be starting at least 5,000 towards that program and hoping to have it finished by the end of this year. Thank you for all the support.
Councillor Prenger, please.
No announcements.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I probably could do this at the next meeting, but maybe I'll do it again as well. But on the 26th and 27th of April, Saturday and Sunday, the Kincardine District Chamber of Commerce is hosting the annual Home Garden Expo at the Davidson Center. One thing I'm really keen to see this year is there's apparently going to be a number of booths have been procured to set up tiny home display. that and as well, I believe the county is lining up to do some form of a couple of presentations in the ways to help people understand how what things are available in order to facilitate, say, a growth in the building of additional residential units in the municipality, in the county for that matter. So I'm looking forward to that.
Councillor Williams, please.
Oh, thank you through you. Just a quick congratulations to the Legion Branch U13B team who made who are the 2025 OMHA All Ontario Tier 1 champions.
Councillor Stanoff-Gray, please.
No announcements today.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to share that this is the International Day of Pink, where everyone is encouraged to wear pink shirts to support anti-bullying and anti-homophobia actions. The story goes in Ottawa. There was a gay boy who was observed being bullied by several other people. Two others in his school came to school the next day in pink shirts, and the trend has just grown and grown from there, with over millions of people celebrating it every year. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, please.
No announcements.
None for myself. CAO, please.
Sure. So on the infrastructure development side, we've got construction picking back up on Bruce Ave. The hope is, depending on the weather, the concrete work will be completed over the next few weeks, followed by the asphalt and remaining restoration. So fingers crossed that comes together. The tall trees sale went live on Friday, April the 4th on ActiveNet and will close at the end of April. So the pickup is Thursday, May the 1st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Valentine shop on Bruce Ave. So out of 170 trees, we have 89 remaining to sell as of this morning. The temporary compost sites will reopen again for the spring season on Thursday, April the 17th through Tuesday, May the 20th, using the bin system. The Kincardine Compost Depot will be located at the Bruce Ave Cardboard Depot, and the Tiverton Compost Depot will be located behind the Tiverton Sports Center. With respect to community services, as you know, the Davidson Center is celebrating the 50th anniversary, and there is a hockey game taking place on Saturday, September the 20th at 7 p.m. between the Toronto Maple Leafs alumni and the Kincardine Bulldog alumni. Tickets are available for purchase at the Davidson Center or online, so you can visit our website for more details.
Very good. We need a mover and seconder that council move into closed session pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended for the purpose of considering closed session minutes dated March 26, 2025. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees or potential appointees to a local board, ad hoc committee, or other municipally controlled organization, specifically candidate for appointment to BIA Board of Management, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations or a person, group of persons, or organization, specifically Wisterio shareholder update. A trade secret or signed all of the above, and particularly the integrity commissioner. A position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on or by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, specifically the Kincardine Family Health Organization, medical office lease, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically the CAO evaluation, and further the council return to regular open meeting upon completion. Moved by councillors Williams and Deputy Mayor Clark. All in favor? That's carried.